The recording has started.
It started a long time ago.
No, I just started it now.
Okay.
Someone else started it too. But
I thought you were going to say good morning again.
Good morning. Hello.
Oh boy. We started. I'm out of position. The wires aren't ready.
Right.
Hold on.
So in about
5 seconds.
in about 6 hours, when Bill actually turns this on at dark 30, he'll get a nice good morning.
He'll get a nice good morning. That's right.
Yes. Yep. Yep. This is great. I'm glad we started recording.
We should not be recording
really
this.
wonderful.
It's fine. It's fine.
This is how the sausage is made, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it's not good.
To our listeners, as we wait for Jeff, who says, "Oh no, I'm ready," and he's the one who has control of the button. Yep.
Come on, music. Where's the music? There's the music. Only the most professional podcast you've ever been in your life. Welcome to Everyone Racers.
It's the only podcast I've ever done in my life, so yeah, it is.
A show designed for the world of low dollar racing and oddball podcast intros. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCC or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hello sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to a Messerschmitt episode of our podcast. It's episode number 175. The Messerschmitt KR 175 Kabinenroller was a mid-engine rear drive microcar produced from 53 to 55. And that's saying they made over 15,000 of them because really post-war Germany needed something cheap to move around. So the name Kabinenroller means scooter with a cabin, which it was. So if you're not in a tiny microcar or a regular car, hey, don't forget that bingo card.
I love the ME175. Like, I think out of all the micro cars, like the Peel is stupid looking. Like, this is the coolest looking one.
It's got little tail fins even. Like,
yeah,
it does. It does. I considered putting phonetic spelling of that, and I thought,
come on,
Chris will nail it
Chris has got
first
it.
time. And yeah, exactly.
German is easy. It's just say every letter.
I'm gonna have to get you to do Josh's homework.
Okay. 9.
9. Josh, take Spanish, then mommy and daddy can help. 9, he said.
9.
Anyway, somebody asked me what I'm working on, so I can go.
What are you working on, Jeff?
Thanks. So I went car shopping since last week.
You did?
But more on that later because we're going to put it in the hella sweeter but terrible. And you can all make fun of me for all the decisions that I've made. But just so you know, it included a trip to Baltimore. And I was flying under my new Valentine 1 version 2.
I actually am eagerly anticipated. Yes.
It's amazing. I cannot believe that I was riding under such a crappy ass old detector that went insane every time I passed a Nissan Altima with blind spot radar. And I am like, I cannot say more that everyone needs to go get a Valentine 1 or update your radar detector if it's more than 5 or 10 years old.
Especially if your car is already hardwired for it. It's so easy.
Yeah. So
looking at you.
Yeah, you should.
I am.
So I also bought a $25 mount off of eBay, and it's fantastic. If you're using suction cups on a window, just join like the 20th century.
Now, is that for the radar detector? Or
for the radar detector. For the radar detector, yeah.
Where do you have it mounted on your car?
I have it gripping the rear view mirror stalk. So it sits directly under the rear view mirror, and it is the faceplate is flush with the rear view mirror. I didn't think I'd get this many questions, or else I would have taken a picture. But
that's a solid choice. Yeah. Like I always tried to mount mine above the mirror, like in that little pocket of glass above the mirror. Yeah, because then you can flip the visor down still and not interfere with it,
and hide it for because if and they're getting better, but back in the day, if you got pulled over, you immediately stuff that thing under a seat.
Oh, I absolutely stuff it under my seat,
You
but
still do it in Virginia all the time.
I can yank it off without any trouble.
In Virginia,
That's what she said.
In Virginia, they've got
Married more than 20 years. Trust me.
And you're busted anyway. So yeah, if you've got one in Virginia, that is still the most constitutional law.
So I was gonna maybe I couldn't remember if it was Virginia or Maryland. So I was driving through Maryland, like Googling. Chrissy, trust me, I stopped before I Googled. So I was on 95, stopped Googling.
You were not
like yelling into my phone, radar detector laws in Maryland, because I thought it was Maryland. But then I was like, well, I have my old passport on the passenger seat. If I get pulled over, I'll just be like, yeah, fine, take it, dude. Go ahead.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, 20-year-old passport. Anyway, I want to say that because I want to talk real car stuff, on the way down, my rear brakes on the Mazda 3 started grinding, like really bad. So like the left brake has no more brake material on it whatsoever. And if you remember, last time I was at your house, it was too cold, and I was like, oh, it's too cold. I don't want to fix the tie rod end on my Titan. So now
it was 40.
It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Right. So now this weekend, I will either have to do a brake job or a tie rod end job on my Nissan Titan, or else.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing.
It's so cold this weekend.
I know. It's going to be stupid. We also had a bit of a mouse in the house situation. So I had to tear apart my kitchen stove. And in an effort to tear it apart to catch the little bastard, I actually broke 2 of the internal gas lines in my stove. I mean,
that only happens to you.
Between the handle and the burner, so like nothing was leaking.
Yeah, you know why the mouse got in? It's because it no longer got electrocuted by the floor,
by the door, exactly. So anyway, I changed my house from gas. Remember, I used to live in a propane house.
Yep.
So when I moved back to a gas house, I had lost the gas orifices for my stove. So I had to buy new orifices to hook it up to Chrissy's the only one who cares about gas orifices. But I happen to have
everyone wants to hear about your gassy orifices.
Right. I happen to have a whole set of lines in my garage because I couldn't buy the orifice without replacing the lines. So I literally took care of it while you all were racing on Monday night. So
how long did it take you to find them in the garage?
Oh, 5 seconds. I knew right where they were. I literally walked in and went boink, pulled them right off.
Which pile of crap are they in?
I knew exactly where they were. Because they're in a box. So anyway, that's what I did. I everyone home repair. Chrissy, what were you doing?
Oh, not much. Laying low over the weekend, took some Christmas stuff down, and doing a little packing to get out of town.
Ooh.
Mental. Oh, yeah. We're just getting out. Mental, tell us about what you're up to, because it sounds like that's exciting.
And by exciting, you mean giant pain. Yes. Our more dedicated listeners remember about a year ago, we had an unusual thunderstorm, which we don't get those very often here. But I believe I'd come back from Barber. And actually that night it rained and we had some water spots on our ceiling. And this was right at the start of the pandemic. So we called our insurance company and he said, we're not sending inspectors out right now because we don't want people in other people's houses. And they soft closed our homeowner's claim. Pause basically until the pandemic was over, and it slipped our mind because we went almost 300 days without rain. And then this past Friday night we had another nice thunderstorm after several windstorms over the summer. And then Monday if you guys were following the news, we got snow. I didn't get snow, but about 1,000 feet above me, 10 miles that way, they got a lot of snow and the spots got bigger. And then Vicky came home and was watching some TV and went to go check on her phone that she'd plugged in. And there our ceiling was leaking all over our bedding and mattress.
Like leaking enough that you need to put a trash can like under it.
Yes.
Wow.
Very much. So we then called our insurance company and they're like, got it. We'll have somebody out right away. But They came back and said they can't make it. They'll be there tomorrow. Guys showed up Tuesday morning, and in the course of the water mitigation, they can't get on the roof because of OSHA regulations until it's done raining, even though I have a flat roof. They can't get up there. And during that time, the ceiling has now, I have a half-foot gap in one of my blocks of sheetrock that is now cracked. And rather than so much that I had to have a trash can, it was basically a hose pouring water.
That's
so we're
mental.
crazy.
Close to the mic.
Sorry,
can't hear.
So yeah, now we had the water mitigation guy. I've got blowers all over our house. We had to empty out the furniture. My mattress is probably a write-off. Definitely the carpet is a write-off. The pads are write-off. We're gonna have to have the whole ceiling redone in the bedroom and in here in my office. The whole house is chaos and stressed beyond belief because everything in my house is a pile of stuff. And it's disorganized and it bothers me, and I'm twitching a little bit all the time. And it's going to be like this for months.
Why for months? Why?
Because they're going to have to redo my roof before they can redo my
ceiling before they can fix the
redo
floor.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
You are in contractor hell. I am sorry to hear that.
Well, and I can't complain about my insurance company. They've been fantastic. This is just the nature of how it's going to go. And of course, we haven't had rain for 300 days. I'm not the only person that had this problem.
No, you're not.
Whole city, they're like, so all of the roofing companies and the inspectors and stuff, they're all busy as crap. So, they'll get to it. But yeah, so this will be an ongoing stuff.
Chris, can you give some advice so everyone can check off Chris talks about insurance? Oh, well, no, Mental's real name is Chris. So I say Chris talks about insurance is officially can be checked off on your phone.
He's doing the right things.
I feel like that's lawyer ball.
He's doing the right things. He is mitigating his damages.
Okay, there you go. Now we have it for real.
Trying to cover some stuff up and move stuff out of the way and try to make the damage not get a little any worse. If anything, though, Mental, I would suggest you go up and you put a tarp on that roof over the hole to really help make sure that if any more rain comes through, you don't get it.
And early on we did, but we had all these windstorms and it was just ripping everything off of there. And, and part of the water mitigation guy is, and this is a profession, is emergency tarper.
Mm-hmm.
That's
totally.
Like, yeah. But like you said, he came out and he's like, I'm not legally allowed on your roof until it stops raining.
You figure the emergency tarper would be the one guy who's allowed up.
Well, if
some
it's raining,
shoes.
But my roof
they're called cougar paws.
Yeah, my roof is this, but rules are rules. And if he went up there and emergency tarped it, then he's in violation of OSHA, and my insurance company fusses at him. Blah blah.
No, we won't fuss at him at all. Yeah. Seriously, we don't care. We'll just pay his bill. Like, okay, yeah, you tarped the roof. Okay, thanks. Here you go. We won't fuss him. His workers' comp carrier might fuss at him.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Well, and that's. Rules are there to take up the slack when the brains run out, but also dealing in my regular profession, I know what happens when people start bending rules. And he looked at me and realized this was dumb as he said it, but I understood, dude, you can't pick and choose when you adhere to the rules. Anyway, I digress. Big hole in my roof, house is in disarray. Mental is losing his ever-loving mind.
Everyone homeowners.
Chris, talk about cars or something.
Yeah, I've actually been working on cars, unlike any of y'all fools. Working on the Z because someone's got to do it.
Duh.
The power steering is a fitting and fluid away from being done.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Because last I saw, it was like, I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to
well, he's been doing
lines. Yeah, I'm like, I wasn't sure that you had a good plan.
I had a plan. And
come on, he always has a plan.
But a plan is different than a well thought out plan.
And the last fitting arrived today.
Only
so like
for you and me. Chris, a plan is always a well thought out plan.
Like I could have the power steering done in about 20 minutes if I just went over and did it right now. Sitting there. Anyway, I removed about 35 wires from the rear half of the car. So
almost enough to speaker play.
Yeah, it's basically this is what happens when Jeff says, "Man, there's a lot of extra wires back here," and then you leave me alone for a while.
I didn't mean that. Like someone should take
days, and he's like, "What is this?" And Chris is like, "Damn it,
I don't know what that is immediately. I must remove it."
I did. because there's lots of wires in the back. So anyway, massive amounts of them are done. They're all good. I had the entire back half of the car harness out of the car, stripping wires out.
He opens the door and was like, "Look at how much I took out," and it was just like
I took these wires out, and that was half of
very
it.
big pile.
But I depinned the connectors that they came out of, so it's a good clean deinstall.
Did you use my little Wish
totally.
purchase?
Yeah, of course.
So Mental, you might not know this. On Wish, I bought a little key ring.
I'm gonna stop you right there because I bought the exact same thing because marketing on Instagram has so weaponized. I'm like, yeah, I need that for $7. I also have a now I have a wheel the wheel bolt pattern measurer at, for $6. Why wouldn't I employ some Chinese kid to take that and send it to
And
me?
you buy it in 1 month, and you get it 7 months later.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then
It's like wrapping your own Christmas presents or hiding your own Easter eggs. I mean,
the best part is do I know how to use this tool, or do I have any intention of using this tool, this keychain of D-pinners? No. I take it over to Chris's house and I go, "Hey, Chris, look what I got. I'm just going to leave this in your toolbox."
My thing is for the price of these, and this is in counter to our thing, but for the price of some of these tools, the one time I need it, I'm going to be glad I spent the $7 on it. I'm going to spend an hour looking for it, but I'll be glad that I had it.
Mental, when there's 2 clips and a wiring harness, and Chris says, "Just unplug that," I go like this for like 10 minutes. I'm like,
That's
how
by
do
nature.
I do it? And he comes
That's
over.
by
and he goes,
nature of all the cars that, like the cars we work on, are all old and neglected.
With one hand, he sticks 3 fingers in. He goes, and it comes apart.
He is the Kung Fu wiring harness master.
Anyway, Chris, what else did you do on that damn 300ZX?
all that wiring that I took apart, I then reloomed and taped and secured with P-clips to various parts of the car to make sure it's not going to go anywhere and it doesn't get in our way. I even loomed the power wire to the cool shirt cooler pump in the stock harness all the way around the car. So it's a good, again, a very clean install.
Very
cool.
cool.
Probably going
for any of us that have ever actually had to like emergency rewire a cool shirt cooler, that is proper, because one good turn and you've disconnected the cool shirt.
So that's all in there nicely. Well, our cool shirt pump now is attached to the car, not the cooler. So the pump is hard mounted. So then we'll run lines to the cooler. Anyway, I also have getting the dash back together right now. I'm actually trying to find the hardware and the buckets of Z parts that we have. Getting the interior buttoned up, and I found 3 broken studs on the oil pan for no reason whatsoever.
I'm so mad at this.
So I have now ordered and received reverse thread drill bits because I got to get those damn things out. I'm hoping the reverse thread drill bit will walk it back out. Very fortunately, the 3 that are broken are like the only 3 accessible ones on the motor.
And
so
this
I can
is
actually get a drill to it.
This is the super sexy.
Yeah.
And then re-engineered oil.
We don't know how these things broke. Like they're studs. They go in the block, and like I barely touched them with the.
And I bought them from Summit. These aren't like Chinese, Chinese.
Well, they are still
parts.
Chinese.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, you know what I mean.
But I barely touched them with the ratchet, and which tells me they were already broken. I don't know how. Anyway, so now I have to drill these studs out and put some bolts in.
That sucks.
Yes. Flying under the car, drilling out broken bolts is one of everyone's least favorite jobs.
We saved the stock bolts if you wanted to find them. They're in there somewhere in a
I found
Ziploc
some
bag.
that work. I mean, in all the.
No, I have a Ziploc bag
crap.
that has oil pan bolts.
Okay, I'll look for that too. Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I will work on it when you're.
You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it when we get there.
Great. Thanks. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. Like the car is actually getting properly close in a variety of ways, but still so much.
There's so many little things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, and I can't wait for you to come back from your lovely vacation. I wish you well and hope you do not get the runs or the COVID so that I can get back there and keep working.
It's very nice of you.
And if I'm not mistaken,
I was about to yell news and notes, Mental.
Well, and which is why I want to get in there. What is driving this particular vacation you two are taking?
Getting away, good time.
One of the best days of the year.
Yep.
It is that time of the year,
Yep.
dear listeners, where almost every week we'll be celebrating a birthday.
3/4 of this podcast has a birthday all in the same 2-week period.
Yeah, and then yours is
Mine's
like a week
Not
out.
that far away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
Whatever.
birthday season, everyone.
News and notes.
Send
All
your
right.
gift cards to everyone.racers@gmail.com.
That's right.
Venmo as well.
So here's a question. If you are playing a state lottery, a state-backed lottery, and it's like a scratch-off, and you are going to win a brand new Corvette and money on the hood, so to speak, to pay for all the taxes and stuff, what do you if you scratch it off and you win, Chrissy, what do you think you're going to get?
A Barbie car?
No, this is real Corvette.
Okay, I thought you
The
asked me
C8.
what size of the car that I'm expecting to receive.
Do you expect to get a car?
Like you scratch off in 3 Corvettes, you win a Corvette.
You win a Corvette and $15,000.
I'm hesitant, obviously.
This is a
So-
state lottery. This isn't some crazy
Probably
Internet.
not. I'm expecting a Barbie car.
Well, probably
I
because
I expect the amount of money that a Corvette costs, and they say, here's some money which we suggest you use to buy a Corvette.
well, this is exactly what this guy won, and I'm going to open the story here because there's an update, so let's just get right to the update. Georgia man, he won $250,000, which is supposed to be a Corvette and whatever the rest of the money was, and they said the value of the Corvette is X dollars, and here's the amount of dollars to go buy it, and he said, bullshit, I can't get a Corvette for that much. Keep that cash and bring me a Corvette that someone will actually sell me for sticker.
Well, and that was part of the problem is every dealer went, we're not selling you a Corvette.
Yeah.
I got,
Sticker
I got
price.
a waiting list.
Yeah. So, that's what happened. And then Mental, you found the update. There actually was, thanks to the internet, an Atlanta dealer who stepped up to the plate and said, you know what? This is bullshit. You should have a Corvette. Come get one. I got a blue one for you at sticker price.
Yep, that's nice.
Yeah, we should call out the dealership's name. It is, where is it?
Sorry, I didn't know you'd go that deep.
Is the
Maybe
Master
link.
the Master Chevrolet in Aiken, South Carolina?
No,
That
it
is
was
it. Master Chevrolet in Aiken, South Carolina.
Which is actually
Looking
not even
for
a
it.
Georgia dealer.
Yeah. Sorry, I said Georgia dealer. I was wrong. The man was from Georgia.
No. Yeah, but it was a Georgia. You were
It was
right.
a Georgia lottery. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, it was a Georgia lottery and a Georgia man who won it, but a South Carolina dealer. Thank you. Who stepped up to the plate. Good luck with your Corvette, dude.
And so if you're a Corvette, you want this dealer, there you go. Master Chevrolet, Aiken, South Carolina, not too far away from Carolina Motorsports Park where you could exercise that Corvette. All right.
Cool.
NBC has decided they're going to shut down the sports network known as NBCSN. Why do you care? Well, as Kristen Shaw tells us over at The Drive, that means if you watch NASCAR, IMSA, or the IndyCar races, you're going to have to go beyond cable, which means you're going to have to fork out some money for a streaming service. To make it worse, they're segmenting the coverage. So if you want IndyCar, you have to subscribe to the Peacock Premium, which is $5 a month. But if you live overseas or Mexico or South America, and there are no South Americans or Europeans running IndyCar,
No, none.
yeah. Well, screw you because IndyCar and Peacock don't care and you can't get it. And you like IMSA? Well, that's a whole different subscription. That's going to be NBC Sports Track Pass Gold for another $5 a month, or just $3 if you just want to skip the NASCAR routes and ARCA coverage and American Flat Track. And to date, the destination of the NBCSN's car culture shows like Proving Grounds or Caffeine and Octane or the Mecum Auto Auctions, they have no idea where that stuff's going. So, you know what? NBC, you're one friggin' network. You think you can figure this out?
That
Like,
kind of
no one-
sucks because I've
They
really
figured out how much to make the most money off
I guess
the
Yeah.
people who care.
And what they're going to find out is they're going to make the zeroest amount of money because no one's paying for that crap. And they're just going to find some hacker who can get it, from a underground pirate server. But
Yeah, they actually were doing decent coverage. I was seeing a lot of European racing on there.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's great. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not like Formula One figured it out. Why can't NBC?
Who knows? Somebody will figure it out. They have a little bit of time before racing starts. Nearly After nearly 40 years in U.S. showrooms, the VW Golf is no more. Wesley Wren tells us from Auto Week that the Golf production in Pueblo, Mexico factory will end altogether at the end of January. The lovely hatchback will continue to roll out in VW's manufacturing facilities in Wolfsburg, Germany. That translates to no more U.S. spec Golfs. This is sad because I owned one. This is why you gave me this story, I'm sure. Inventory is projected to last this year. You'll still be able to get one of the performance versions like GTI or Golf R. But if you're eyeing the TSI with the 147 horse liter, 1.4 liter turbo.
Now, is anybody on this channel really trying to get
the
base model?
Right. Yes. That's what everybody wants. I have one anyway. But anyway, that was my first car. 6-speed or this 8-speed auto. No, three things. First, the price starts at $24,000, which seems ridiculously low. You have to get one this year, and then 3, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
True. No one's buying the base one around here.
I read this, but I wasn't really sure. So the base model was made in a different factory in a different country in a different
base model U.S. version.
Got it.
The Wolfsburg plant's still going to be making the European versions.
They're just not bringing over the base anymore. Got it.
The high performance North American versions, right?
Got it.
Which
awesome.
is fine.
Because Americans like a Jetta instead of a Golf because they're dumb.
Idiots.
Yeah. Anyway. So the future is not in Volkswagen Golfs. The future is electric eventually, as we know. As many automakers are proving, that's not all bad. Porsche set a world drifting record with their new entry-level rear drive only Taycan.
That's a Taycan!
Okay. Anyway, now Nick Berg at Haggerty writes about the new sideways capable all-electric BMW i4 study for showrooms later this year. Berg spent some time with the BMW's product lead of an awesomely named David Alfredo Ferrufino Camacho. Yes. Mountain Dew.
That is the exact opposite of every name in Mental's phone book.
Yes.
I've got a Camacho in there.
Yeah, but it's just Camacho. There's no first name. There's no last name. It's just Camacho.
Right.
Yep. Anyway, we got some pictures of the car drifting through the test. BMW claims 530 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. That's for range. They say it'll cover 370 miles on a full charge.
Wow, that's like a real live sedan too.
Yeah, I did actually spell that slideways on purpose.
Oh, good. That's good.
I'm
anyway, all electric
BMWs.
BMWs.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Upcoming races.
Do we have any upcoming races?
We sort of do. I don't know.
What happened?
We do. So AER just announced that this week that they're canceling the Charlotte Roval race next month. They were filling my email box trying to get more entries. So I assume they didn't make the minimum amount of entries, and this is not COVID related. But obviously we didn't reach out and ask them because they don't want to be butthurt about it.
They did actually say this. They said we only had 22 entries and we can't.
They said 22.
It was a really honest email, and it was like, we've only got 22 entries and I can't afford to run a race like that. So props to AER for just being straight up.
Yeah, I thought that was secret inside information when you told me that
initially
earlier.
It was,
okay.
And then they sent out an email to everyone saying this is the situation.
All right, well, they're hoping to reschedule. Anyway, World Racing League is running their 8+8 at NOLA this weekend. They have 34 cars. 19 of them are BMWs.
Boring.
3 Miatas, 1 Honda, 3 Porsches, and an Elan NP01, and my favorite, the Ginetta G55. I so love that Ginetta. I have no idea what an Elan, and that's a Lotus Elan?
No. It's
like a little mini Daytona prototype car with a Mazda MZR.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that from previous races. You know what? I dig World Racing League for letting in some of these prototype things. Those prototype guys, good for you. I'm not going to put my prototype on the same track with a bunch of sedans.
The MP01 was actually designed to be a affordable. It's actually the same thing as the Ginetta. It's supposed to be a finger quote mass market appeal, high production, track
race car
special. Yeah.
Well, anyway, they added their event at the Barber Motorsports Park in March, which is nearly sold out at 55 cars, with the first 48 hours signups being open. So if you would like to see the Ginetta and the NP01 yourself, why not join the World Racing League down there at Barber?
I'll say
Okay.
if you get a chance to go watch, depending on what their COVID rules are, those are going to be some cool cars at a beautiful track.
Yeah, best track in America. Did I say that? Nice, most beautiful track in America. I can say that I've been to.
One of the better, definitely all-arounder tracks in the whole country.
Sure.
Without
Getting
a doubt.
closer. It's not beautiful in February, but okay. It's not.
Well, it was March.
Whatever. It's still brown and cold.
I got art. You could look at all the gnomes and stuff. Yeah.
Sure.
Recent.
4 point stands.
No, we got none of them.
results.
No. Nope. No, we're good. We can do listen up feedback because we have lots of that. Okay. In response to our continuing series on why engine swaps are stupid, we have lots of sympathizers. Chris Egan actually sent us an email, which you can do. You could also do at everyone.racers@gmail.com. In his email, it tells us about his long engine swap project into a BMW. I just want to share the intake saga of the Daytona powered BMW, particularly his intake, which wraps the throttle body above the bell housing and would hit the firewall of the E36. So he had to move the throttle body to the other side. This involves much cutting and welding even before you address the intake runners inside the casting he cut apart. The tale goes on goes to our lessons of the 80-20 rule that we keep telling you. He finishes with, I should finish it someday.
We should mention that this is when he says a Daytona swap, he means a 2.2 liter Chrysler Daytona motor, like a turbo 2 motor out of a Chrysler Daytona. This is the worst motor on the planet to put into the BMW, other than
That's why he's doing it.
Other than what he suggested the first time he was going to put in this BMW, which was a 12A rotary.
13B.
13B? I thought he said it was 12A. Anyway, whatever.
Well, it's all rotary. Whatever.
It's all a mistake.
Chris Egan's one of those really smart people who does really dumb things.
I think this is more of a because I could, and he was single, and like, well, what else am I doing right now? And now it's sitting. Anyway, Michael K took exception with Mental's dismissal of GMV6 because Mental seems to have an irrational hatred of these. I'm indifferent to them personally.
I love the 3800.
Right. Mental has something in his craw on these things. Yeah, they sound terrible, but whatever. Anyway, Michael Krenzer commented, the 3800 is not dead yet for swaps in the Midwest because they are so plentiful. I said, I can pee on three in the GM section if I stand on the roof of any single car. Yeah, you're probably right. He added some specifics for the transmission and added the VQ was the front runner for the longest time, but the rear-wheel drive transmissions were expensive, and the throttle-by-wire with an extensively finicky ECU knocked it out of contention. If you don't want to listen to us or considering one of these 3800s, check out his whole comment in our YouTube section. They're an okay choice. I wouldn't call them the best choice, but if you live in the Midwest and you get them at Walmart, that's a different story, I guess.
They're very compact.
They are for what they are, without a doubt.
That's one of the reasons I really like them.
And they built them for 1 million years, so they kind of figured them out.
And you could get them supercharged, mother effing 260 horsepower in that sucker?
240, yeah.
240.
But then the intake points right at the throttle body, or at the firewall. They need to get to cut holes in the firewall and run.
No, you go to Australia and you buy the throttle for the one that's
Even
the other
then.
direction. I don't know.
Or you cut your intake manifold apart like Chris Egan.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't do it. Don't swap motors, people. It's a terrible idea.
Cool. Betsy, you're up.
Over at Houston, when I was down there, the fine folks at Breaking Bad Racing dropped off a case of White Claws for a bribe, which shows some pretty advanced planning capability. Good on those guys. But on the YouTube, they cautioned against not planning ahead like they did with their V8 swapped E36. If you're mixing and matching LS blocks and pans, pay attention to where the dipstick hole is. On some stuff, the pan is it's in the pan. On others, it's on the block. Pick the wrong combo and you'll show up to your first race with no way to check the oil level on a rebuilt engine.
This is hilarious.
Which they did. Now, that BMW actually did retire early for some teething issues, but surprisingly, not from being blowed up like Sajeev and I were absolutely convinced it was going to do.
I'm rubbing my face in shock and awe. How do you not figure out that you don't have a dipstick before you get to the race?
No, they figured it wasn't before they got to the race. It was once they had the engine in there and it was running. They're like, all right, how much oil is in it? Oh, crap.
How do you not figure that out before you install the motor?
And they just decided they weren't pulling the engine out to fix this problem. Just button it up, guess how much oil is in there, and send it.
Oh, wow.
Good,
Oh,
honestly,
my.
good bunch of teams. They truly embrace the kind of the lemon spirit on it, and they're like, we're not that deep into it to pull it back out.
Although I
But
say that
if you drain it and then pour 5 quarts in, and you go like, well, that's probably
that's
good enough.
And I got the feeling that was because they with a brand new engine swap car, they knew they weren't going to be competitive, and they were just going to come there and figure out what was going to break on the car. So they had the right attitude towards the race anyway. So
I should say, because I'm the one that shopped and bought the oil pan, I did not see oil pans with dipstick options. I knew our LS had the oil. I did not know that our LS had the oil dipstick in the block. I just did not see a pan that also had a dipstick.
Here's another thing when you're shopping for LS oil pans. If the ones that you're finding come with a filter screw on right on that pan, I found out this weekend it is not the same size or thread pitch as the normal GM thing that it came
really?
off of. Not necessarily.
Oh, well, I think we'll talk about this in the main topic.
Yeah. So I had to order a different sandwich plate, which I got today. But
awesome.
Anyway.
We did have a style request in the listener feedback section. Seeing the cut job on the Z, Randy asked, please keep the Vortec engine cover popping out of the hood. Shaker hoods make everything better.
I have a VTEC engine cover downstairs. That would be funnier if we put the 2.4 Honda double cam VTEC cover.
I like the Vortec one though, because it has the right kind of shape that we need to
the
cover.
Honda one's not too far off. And man, all right. Think about this.
But
and you're not going against his advice of shaker hoods do make everything look cooler.
We might just have to go to the junkyard and find
a couple of them. Yeah,
like the one that goes over a North Star is big and it kind of domes, and that I don't know.
We're gonna have to work on the front because making sure that the air gets into the air cleaner and goes through the radiator is gonna be the most important.
Well, we still notch it for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway,
yeah.
So my brother, the Good Wakeman, whoever wrote the notes, wrote the Good Wakeman. Thank you. Says finally I got a bingo. Anyway, Jeff. He's commenting on my car shopping, and he says, get the car you really want. Don't settle. The last 2 cars he purchased for me were the ones that made me really, really, really want them. He also said, forget front wheel drive. Go ahead and get a rear wheel drive car. We live in the same climate. Yes, we live like 3 miles apart. And he never had any issue except in really deep snow, and he didn't even put his snows on this year.
Yeah, you didn't have any time for that?
No,
he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So what happened last year? Last year he didn't put his snows on either. Jim's snow tires last about as long as a box of donut holes do in front of my son. Okay, I have no idea how Jim gobbles up his snow tires so quickly, but probably
didn't he have them on in like June?
Yeah, that's how.
Because
probably
was busy. That's why.
That's the answer.
No. He always needs new tires. So we always have the wrong wheels on at whatever season because he needs new tires and he hasn't ordered them yet. But he's not wrong. I didn't put my snow tires on yet this year either or last year because ain't no snow.
Either. I left my. I didn't put.
Shut up.
Oh wait,
until
the snow comes next week.
I got a truck.
It's Vegas. We're going nowhere when it snows.
Actually, I could throw them on, and I probably should.
It's going to be put them on the Mazda this year because
don't do it for me.
We had the Continental ECSs, and we said, well, if we have to go somewhere, we're not going around those. So we have these snow tires in the shed. They're mostly dead, but they're better than the Continentals.
Well, I'm kind of in the same position because although I don't run summers, I run high performance all seasons. They're getting a little slim. So maybe I will put the snows on. But anyway.
Especially if you've gotten to the car to that point where you're at the don't give an F.
But I'm not ordering new tires.
Right.
Exactly.
When the snows all summer, I'm not getting new tires.
You're not wrong.
Why does Jeff sound like Phil?
because he's getting excited about stuff.
Okay, just making
I
sure.
am. I'm a bit shut out of a cannon tonight.
Yeah.
I suck at racing. iRacing report.
Speaking of things to get excited about, great news. Since iRacing is back, Nate Schleveen has announced the start of the 2021 season 1. He's redoing the naming next month. So if you've not done one of these virtual races, head over to isuckatracing.com and get signed up. The link is in our show notes, along with Nemesis Labs, Top Flight Computers, and of course, Ryan, aka Bearded Sim Racer, his YouTube broadcast channel.
And no one pumps a category like mental, without a doubt. He can chill with the best of them.
As in the past, the series will alternate between trash races and Enduros. Planned tracks include Watkins Glen, Long Beach. Oh, I'm excited for Long Beach. And for the first time, they're going to Long Beach. And another Key Party race, which is, of course, cool. And maybe I'll get into this one. I don't know. The return to the no pedal, no wheel has provided some great innovation in the past, including the dog-powered entry. What was the dog's name? Anybody remember?
Buster.
A French horn and multiple airplane rudders. Phil wanted an Etch-a-Sketch, and I still think that's the way to go.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what Chris was doing, drawing on a screen.
That's how you
get the dog to look up.
The dog, you help the
The
treat.
treat.
Dog looks up, looks down, like you hold the treat to make the dog look certain directions.
All right. So most of these are going to be Sunday night events as they have been before, but the opener will be just in just over a week next Thursday. February 4th is the season premiere with the Lemons iRacing Circus heading to Long Beach for the Enduro. Even if it's not your type of racing, tune in on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and keep up with the great live broadcast, which is usually some of your favorite people.
Favorite? Wow. None of us, obviously.
Fine. Okay. Podcast host.
Like Terry Gross?
That would be amazing.
Mark Barron, Terry Gross, they're going to get on there and go, what is Moosh Long? Why am I here?
All right. So yeah, Terry Gross, Ira Glass, and
Mark
Roman
Barron.
Mars. They're all right. Yes.
Okay, fine. Or not.
Oh, well.
Or funnier.
Hey, you know,
people.
if you want to race in something that's even worse than the Lemons events, hey, you can run with us. We do laugh a lot, though. Like this last Monday, we had a pair of races at one of our favorite iRace venues. It's the Irwindale Figure Eight with the jump, because why you would run it without the jump, I don't know. I mean, the jump just made a great
awesome.
track.
It's like
great. It's like icing on your sundae.
There's a little less crashing with the jump and without the jump.
But
the crashes are way more spectacular without the jump.
You get some fun crashes too, like when you bounce off the roof of something but still land. Like, those are good. Anyway, hilarity and lots of fast pairs ensued. We had the first race was completely inappropriate cars from every class, and I really actually tried to weed out the cars that break after going over the jump 2 or 3 times. Which is a lot of them, actually. So the ones that were left were durable enough. Like, and what did we have in there? We had the AMG, we had the Legends.
Legends are the best for that. They are.
That's what I used.
They bounce. What else do we have in there?
Miatas. MX-5s.
I had that NASCAR Fusion in there.
Yeah, the Fusion. One guy had the Fusion. The whole time he just talked about how terrible it was.
Corey had the Fusion,
I can't remember who was.
I'd like to point out that both the aliens took the AMG.
There was one person that took. Do you have a Skippy in there?
Oh,
we had an open wheel in there.
Yep.
The
Skippy
doesn't
jumping
break.
Always seems fun.
Yeah.
No, they're durable because they're made for people like Tom Lamino and I who crash them.
I mean, it did flip a lot, but they all flip a lot.
Well, I made it for the second race, so I was glad to. The mouse and the stove had been all repaired. Yeah. The mouse trap was set.
Was rally cars. We had a bunch of different rallycross cars and the Pro 2s, all cars that could kind of take a jump. So these could just keep going over the jump, but they would crash into other things. But a lot of fun. Similar outcome though, but good. We put the 87s in there too, which Lamino is the only one dumb enough to do that and is tied 87. And just listening to Dave and Tom go at each other is worth the effort right there.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, both races had a pretty good turnout. So
we had 21 people in the second race.
Yeah, to show up.
I was wondering how it was a great time, and a lot of folks were there. Yeah, that was just fantastic.
And the Irwindale is always good to test your stomach when you're using VR. I always say, I love this, and I get out and I'm like almost actually throwing up.
Yep. You just got to close your eyes, and once you start to go upside down.
I do.
Uh-huh. You know who never closes her eyes when she goes upside down?
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I, but it sounds good.
Chrissy's mom, I bet.
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Cool.
And dad.
Hi, Chrissy's mom and dad and sister and brother-in-law.
Nah,
and
whoever's
everyone else.
listening.
Whoever else
these days.
is listening. We don't even know.
Absolutely.
I can say hi to my brother sometimes since he seems to be listening now they're on YouTube.
No.
Hi, Jeff's brother.
Your
And-
brother
and-
watches.
Yeah, watches.
Yes.
And we still seem to every now and then get a comment on the YouTube from our boy Omar, and we didn't put him on the we should mention that Mental uploaded a different video. He uploaded the video to our YouTube for the wrap up of New Hampshire, and Omar was very distraught that the Civic is busted. He got to the end. He said it was like it made him like cry a little.
That not just Omar, but Dean, also of Sorry for Party fame, did not realize that the Civic was dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I apologize. It took me so long because I'm fighting with some video editing software. So, but we're hoping to do a lot more of that kind of nonsense on our YouTube channel.
Well, we're trying to learn. I think really is what it is.
Absolutely,
So-
we are. So,
And what's
but
Michael's not moving everything in his house into one room also
and
might help.
interesting is when I uploaded that video, I got to do YouTube said, would you like to do a live premiere? Yeah, okay, sure. So I did a live premiere, and our super fans, James Mulhern and Jason Hopkins, watched it with me while I live premiered it, I think on and I actually got some good suggestions for software, but they all really enjoyed it and they appreciated it. So if you haven't been over to our YouTube, even if you don't like watching the show on YouTube, you can watch our wrap-up video. There's my favorite is still the argument between Matt and Bruce.
It's pretty funny.
Not safe for work, by the way, that one.
No,
But
no.
yeah.
Chrissy, do you know what kind? There are two kinds of student films. Are you aware of this?
No, enlighten me.
Long and way too long. Short in each edit. That's my.
All right.
Okay.
Speaking of-
Main topic time.
we're still talking about engine swaps, bad ideas, and this is why engine swaps are dumb. Part 3 of what is still not finished. This is a multi-part series. Now, we know you didn't listen to our advice on this, and that's not surprising. We tell you not to listen to us. On this topic, especially though, you're going to want to catch this episode because this is all things we've learned from doing it wrong, making our mistakes. Last week, we were thinking about this series and we realized that all of our current 3-pedal Mafia active or in progress cars all have motor swaps. Ugh. Now, the D16 Civic was stock plus and ran for years with no issues, with 33 races on that motor, Chris, the Hero motor.
Something like that.
Yeah. It was well supported and a lot of stuff, but then when we did the custom to the K24, it needed some work and some teething issues, but then it dominated kind of for a while and we want to race with it. The Z is miles into the full custom camp. Cressida is stock plus and is still the most successful car in 3-pedal Mafia history. Betty and the TR7 are both deep into that custom category, and they are spectrums of success because everything that Betty has done right, the TR has done so
very wrong. Yeah.
And as much as I love Betty, every time you climb into the TR, you're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. And by the end of it, you're a
Laughing
because you love the TR when it's running.
And what motor was in the TR7, Chris?
It's because you're flying so close to death that you just start like
You're like, I'm gonna die.
like I don't care anymore.
I'm gonna die.
I have never been more certain of my impending injury than I was driving that car in the rain at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
It is literally the only time I have ever been in a race car going, what the hell am I doing right now?
That's why I didn't get in it, because I was like, if you guys are getting out of it saying I'm not doing that again, I'm like, why am I gonna get in? I'm gonna die.
For those of you who think the 3800 does not sound good, just get the one with the supercharger
And the blown muffler.
because when that goes and the car twists sideways and that supercharger starts,
Yes.
you're going down the straight is exciting.
But even the Mazda that is coming this year, which by the way, congratulations, Chrissy. We all saw your post. Fantastic.
Thank you.
250,000 miles.
To the moon. She bought that car new, and the very first time I ever met Chrissy, she arrived in that car. And then she'd known me for 2 days and had to drive me to the airport that following Monday. It is already a stock plus swap, and it's going to stay that way. So as we get deeper into the series, we're spending more and more time talking about the custom stuff, because you don't need to worry about this stuff with the stock plus, because most of those problems have been figured out. So stick to those. If you're going with the engine swap, go with the Coyote in your Fox body kind of a deal. Don't go with a 5.3 and 2-way Z32.
Yes, that was a lot of letters and numbers smushed together.
Everyone knows.
Okay. All right. So after the last episode, if you're following along, which we hope you were, you actually have the basic long block and trans mounted to the car. Yeah, right. Congratulations. If you do, you're now 20% of the way done, and most of the swaps stop right here. We're going to talk about all the stuff that hangs off the motor and makes it work. Let's start with oiling and then get the air out of the engine, and we have plenty more to cover
in future episodes. We're only doing oil.
Oh, yes.
We got a long way to go in this series, so sorry. I don't know. So whether you're racing with your swap or not, every engine needs to have a quality oiling system. You got to make sure the right oil is flowing the right way with the right flow and pressure and temperature. And if you got enough oil in the right places at the right times, and it's a lot of rights, but it's true. So this is going to be a discussion on oiling systems that can apply to non-swaps too. It's just going to be your stock car can benefit from all this stuff. So last time we talked about picking the right oil pan, so we're going to assume you're okay there. Same for the oil pump and pickup, because they usually go together, and a lot of modern motors have the oil pump as part, or as on the end of the crank. That's fine. So we're going to leave that. One word on pickups, though. Make sure you didn't dent your pan putting it on or putting the motor in and out a bunch of times. Ask our TR crew about how many 3800s they blew up, because the pickup was too close to the dented pan. And when it got to higher RPMs, it couldn't get enough oil and sucked air and spun bearings. So,
and you say that as if they dented it accidentally. No, these were some purposeful dents to make sure it fit around the cross member.
Either way,
this is self-inflicted.
Be careful.
Wounds.
Either way, be careful. This kind of stuff matters. So for some cars, the stock oil pump is going to be enough. Most of them are fine. Some cars, porting them helps so the oil can flow at higher RPMs without cavitation. The return passages, porting those can help sometimes, but all this is, and that along with baffles too. Baffles are always good if they are done properly.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's a different show. So for your stock swap, you need a filter as big as possible in an accessible location. You need a way to cool the oil, because endurance racing is murder on temperature in everything, and this will help you, and lines to make it all flow around. If you have the room, a sandwich plate oil filter adapter is the easy button. Now, this goes between where you put the oil filter and the filter itself, and kind of spaces it out 1.5 inches or so to allow room for the oil to flow in and out before it goes to the filter. So it's really easy. It just screws on most of the time. You just want to make sure it doesn't put your filter like into something, like into a firewall or a cross member.
Ground.
Right. It doesn't make it hang 2 inches below everything else. So that's the first thing it's going to hit. If you one of your teammates happen to put 2 wheels off track, they're going to tear a filter off. That's a bad idea. Still, these sandwich plates usually have NPT ports coming in and out of them. Try to find one that has 1/2-inch NPT ports that's going to flow enough. So I saw a lot when I was looking recently for this. It had 3/8 NPT ports, and that's not enough to flow all of the motor oil for your whole car. It's just not going to work that way. Mental, yes.
Now, kits, do they offer the ability, or have I misread this, where you can start using a more common oil filter, something that you get at an O'Reilly's or?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to touch on that at the end of the section that I'm talking about right now. So good timing. Anyway, for hoses out of those NPT ports, you just want to go right to AN stuff with proper hose ends. we've tried rubber hoses and clamps, the stuff that comes with the the relocation kits and stuff. You know what? And we almost lost the motor, almost oiling down the track. If Chrissy weren't astute and picked up on it real quick and got right off the track into the grass. Great job on her part. Saved the motor and saved oiling down a whole bunch of track. So
which was that?
Everybody
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Which car?
Down the track.
Honda.
Civic.
Oh, okay. Because we had the barbs on the boat for a long time.
Yeah.
And
But
didn't
that
have
wasn't
any issues.
Yeah, that was like a variation of the stock thing and luck and the entire oil of the car wasn't flowing through that. Like with the Civic, all of the oil out of the pump was flowing through that thing. Anyway, do your competitors and yourself a favor and spend the couple dollars on the better stuff to avoid any kind of braking situation there. The AN line kits on Amazon these days actually seem decent so far, and they're priced very favorably.
I thought they were cheap.
Compared to buying all the stuff individually, it's a deal.
Yeah, the kits were so great. I bought them twice.
Oh, good. Well,
no, the wrong ones. Remember?
Oh, that's the relocation.
You said get a relocation kit. I bought one, and then like a year later, you're like, "We need a relocation kit." I bought another one, and then we looked at both of them, and you said, "Nah, I think I want a sandwich plate."
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it is the I when I said kits, I meant the AN line kits.
Yes,
like you
the
just
AN
bought
line kits,
that you bought an AN10 line kit that came with 6 fittings and 6 feet of hose, and it was reasonably priced for what you got. It's actually cheaper. It was basically you're buying the fittings and getting the hose for free. That's a deal.
Yeah.
So give it a shot.
We'll talk about fittings in a little bit. So
yeah.
Hang
so
tight
what
to
else?
that, everybody.
If your filter just doesn't fit, then you're going to need an actual relocation kit. We started talking about this a little bit. That puts your filter somewhere else than where the factory put it. And sometimes it's really hard to find a good accessible location where you can actually get to the filter and change it and not make a tragic mess every time you do it. Like one of the Honda is kind of over by the transmission on the driver's side, and it's the best spot I could find. And I still have to take a piece of tinfoil and bend a little trough to get the oil to not land on the splitter and things every time we change it, which it's not tragic, but there could be much, much worse places.
In the old Honda, didn't it like land right on top of the transmission from the relocator?
No, it was similar to what this was. It was on the other side because the engine's on their side. It was basically, again, you had to get the tinfoil trough to make it work. But doing this, though, when you do an oil filter relocation, usually lets you use a big ass filter like the one we have. We've got that big, giant Ford V8 style that was on every 5-liter F-150. So that alone adds half a quart of capacity right there and a lot of filtration media. So if you can do it, it's a nice way to go because it gets you extra filtration and maybe an easier oil change. So
yeah, nice.
It's a lot there.
I promised to talk about the AN fittings and stuff, but I do want to mention the what we got with the kit and what it came with. It came with 6 different ends, 2 straight, 2 45s, and 2 90s, right? And they were all AN10, and I think it was 7 feet of hose, 6 feet of hose. I can't remember how much hose was in it.
Yeah,
it was a lot. I think it was 10 feet. So 2 5-foot sections.
And it was the fabric covered but braided stuff, and it wasn't quite as strong as the real, like the completely solid outer braided stuff, but it's way better than any rubber hose. And
it was under $100. Yeah. I think it was like 88 or something like that. So I thought it was a really damn good price. Yeah. Just got it right off of Amazon.
Yeah. So anyway, anybody knows where to get miles of hose for under $100. It's a guy that works at a college.
That's right. We have all the hose.
And that fabric outer casing actually made it easier to work on in putting the fittings together.
Just ignores the jokes and keeps talking technical stuff. It's okay.
I heard the joke. People can laugh and then they can still learn something. Screw you.
Anyway, but seriously, half inch NPT fittings for the relocation kit are great. You need the halves, but you also need like a lot of adapters. And I'm just going to tell you right now, this adapter stuff, we're going to use a lot of terms. You don't know what it is. The first time you do it, you're going to screw up. You're going to buy the wrong fittings. It's going to happen. You're going to have to return them. It's a pain in the ass. That's why you don't do engine swaps, everybody. But make sure you get NPT to AN adapters. We're going to need the separate AN hose ends, not the AN hoses that thread to the NPT adapters, because they're a lot harder to disconnect, right, Chris?
I'm going to explain this because Jeff didn't read this ahead of time to be familiar with it, to read the copy.
Did read it.
Anyway, so
I didn't get it.
Okay, when you've got the half-hitch NPT, they make hose ends that go right on the hose that thread into the NPT.
Yes,
but
I'm
then
aware
you've
of
got
that.
to back it all the way out of the NPT fitting, and it takes a long time, and it doesn't work very well. Where if you just get an NPT to A, an adapter, that stays in the relocation kit or in the filter block off plate, whatever you're going to use, and then you use just a AN hose end, which the swivel end.
That makes much more sense.
That comes off much more easily. So just use that. Don't get the AN hoses that thread into the NPT.
Got it. Which we actually used, I think, in the boat, and then transferred them in sizes, and they were really a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Learn from our mistakes. That's the whole point of this whole series, is don't do the things we learn not to do the hard way.
Got it. So anyway, for oil coolers, you're going to need one. Obviously, you're putting all this up there to get into a cooler. Bigger typically is better. To a point, there's some diminishing returns. You don't want a system that's so big your pump can't get it through. Stacked plate is better than tube and fin style. If you don't know what stacked plate versus tube and fin style is, there was actually a good Donut Media video on it not too long ago. They're turbocharging their Miata, and a great thing. But anyway, so yeah, tube and fin style. The more little fins between the tubes, the more the more the cooling is. Generally, obviously, there's size and things like that, but so that's the denser it is between those tubes, the better. So when you're measuring, make sure that you account for the hose ends and the fittings, and you're going to have extra fittings. So you really need to make sure you get a size as big as possible, but that also is going to fit your front end. So you got to really plan these out. Chris already mentioned it, but get a cooler that already has the size AN fittings that you need. We already said we're going 10 AN, so get a cooler that has 10 AN fittings out, because you're going to save so much money and space. Seriously, the first system that we built together, the one that I already mentioned in the boat, which had the push-on ends, we learned a lot of lessons, like don't use push-on ends. There was so many different fittings between the cooler and the first set of tubes, the first set of hoses. I spent more on fittings than we did for everything else, because we had to go from one size down to the next. It was, get the right size from the very first, and then you won't have to do so much. This needs to all be mounted where there's good airflow, both in and out. You're going to have to use some ducting in here. You're really going to have to make sure it doesn't get in the radiator's way, but it's got to be there. So if you have room and a better place, you could move it away from the radiator. So we did this in the Civic. We actually had it in the headlight bucket for years and years, because we also had an intercooler up there. So we kind of ran out of space in front of the radiator. But when you stack these things together, if the air first has to move through an air-to-air intercooler, it's going to get hot. And then if it has to move through an oil cooler, it's going to get hotter again. And then it's going to hit your radiator at a higher temperature than it started coming in. So you're going to end up having engine cooling problems. So you got to spread all that stuff out if you can. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well enough? I hope so. Okay, so you got to mount it securely, but you're going to have to remove it because it's a serviceable item. You're going to have leaks. You're going to have to move that radiator. You're going to have to move that air dam when you take a fist or a wheel into the front grille, which is inevitably going to happen. So anything can happen. Chris, you pulled some serious stuff out of the grill of the Civic over the years. How much grit, how much just detritus, how much stuff ends up getting in those front ends?
Everything, especially if you have good ducting. You collect small woodland creatures, an entomologist home case of insects,
peasants. Sometimes you collect peasants,
surprisingly large rocks, but never wiring harnesses that don't belong to your car. They actually don't.
Funny. I'm sorry I suggested it. No, but I wanted you to touch on the honeycomb stuff, because we talked about it before, but I still don't know what search term did you get that from? What is it from? Because it was way superior to the chicken wire we were using in the past.
All right. So side story. On the GRM board, that's Grassroots Motorsports Forum, for those who haven't heard this before. There is an actual motorsports aerodynamicist on that board who will happily answer any amateur questions about stuff. And they even have an aerodynamics forum that he moderates to help out with this. Someone was talking about radiator protection one day and talking about using chicken wire and stuff like that. And he's saying, well, the bigger the holes, the better the flow. But also, but the further away from the radiator the protection is, the more disruption it is for the aerodynamics, for the air actually flowing through. So he said you want, ideally, whatever's protecting your radiator to be up against it, because then it doesn't have a chance to change it. So he suggested a honeycomb mesh. So, and if you buy this stuff, I got it on Amazon. I think I just searched radiator mesh and I found it. And it's this honeycomb stuff. It's about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thick. And it's made of some
plasticky, right?
It's like a plasticky, fiberglassy, something like that. And you just put it up against the radiator, and it's straight honeycomb voids going toward the radiator. So when the air hits it, it straightens it out to go right through the radiator and has no place to go between the mesh and the radiator. So it really has the least impact on flow, and it gives you an impact cushion, because if it hits this stuff has enough space to actually deform and absorb the energy of various assorted debris that is hitting the radiator.
According to this, on my Amazon link here, I did honeycomb radiator protector. It came up. It's Nomex.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is, but it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
Like
it's like $22.99 on Speedway Motors.
It's not that expensive, and it's not that hard to cut with just a sharp utility knife. And you put it on with those through the radiator zip tie kind of things, which the only purpose those have in life is for this. Like, don't use them to mount an oil cooler. Don't use them to mount a fan, because they put too much stress on the cooling fins of your radiator. But for this stuff, which has no stress to it at all, use this stuff. This stuff's great.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. Thank you. I think that's the end of my section.
We've tested the durability of that stuff. We've taken some serious kind of hits to some of our coolers.
It's Nomex, yo. Yeah. It's probably fireproof. Now, wait a second. Let me place an order. Hey, Bill, figure out what that stuff is. Get on it.
We have plenty.
Last time I did that, he brought me lunch.
That's true. He got you nachos. All the nachos.
All the nachos. Now, AN lines are a challenge in and of themselves. And if you're not completely familiar with what that was, what that is, there is a link in our show notes. They are Army Navy fittings, and it is a specific set of measurements.
What that stands for, I never knew.
Yep.
Honestly, I didn't either until I was on one of Lemon's White Elephant list, and someone sent me one of Carol Smith's early 70s books about measurements and fittings and how to mail order different ones, because it's very outdated. But that's where I learned that. But we've got a link to that, and also APT, which is American Pipe Thread. We've got a discussion of both of those in our show notes, and it kind of just breaks down what those measurements are. We're talking about AN lines, though. Now, they're a pain. Just accept that. And there's some tutorial videos that we'll watch, and I can't really describe those very well. And then there's specialty tools that we don't have, but check out those specialty tools. And this also goes into our fuel cell episode. So before you order expensive fittings, you need to get everything hard mounted and then run just some kind of rubber hose in the proposed location to see what angle hose end you're going to need and how long that hose will need to be to satisfy your needs. Giggity. Get a full layout planning before you start buying stuff, because this stuff is expensive. It's a pain in the ass to work with. We like Summit. They've got good shopping tools for the hose ends, and it narrows down to those many choices. Amazon also has some really good prices, not just for the stuff Jeff was looking for, but for all of this. For measuring, you're going always leave a little bit extra than you initially think as you are going to have to make more than one cut as you get used to fitting those AN lines.
Chrissy, how'd that work out on those heater hoses the other day?
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Like, never leave no more than you think you need, because you don't want to cut twice, do you?
Chrissy,
no,
hey,
just cut it
3 feet. She measures 3 feet.
I measured it like 10
10
times, and it was still too short. So yeah,
I guarantee your measurements were exactly precise. We just weren't accounting for,
Nope. That was just wrong.
Right. So you do all that now, and secure. You're going to want to secure those hoses, even if it's just using zip ties, because things will start to rub. You've got abrasions. They'll get caught on stuff. Oil is really important. And when it leaks, it is really messy. A number of years ago, when I had my second 911, I lost a clutch line because somewhere in the ownership of that car, they had run the hydraulic line for the clutch outside of where it should have gone. And over the course of the 6 months that I had the car, it rubbed through and I completely lost my clutch coming home one night. And it dumped frigging hydraulic fluid all over all the hot bits on the backside of my engine, which then it was smoking. Luckily it didn't catch on fire. Just secure the hose as much as possible. Make sure it doesn't rub on anything. You don't want to know how much a pallet of oil dry cost when you oil down the entire track. And when you walk through the paddock after oiling down the whole track and you think that everyone's looking at you going, oh my God, that's the one to oil down the whole track.
We are looking at
we are judging you, and we're judging you badly. And then you screw the track for the whole weekend, even after the oil dry. Even worse if it's raining.
You know what it costs for that pallet of oil dry? Like an hour of freaking track time out of all of our freaking lives. That's what it costs.
The race ends at the same time every time. So even if you're off for an hour.
Anything slippery. If you guys did not watch Houston MSR video, there was an Audi that was leading class, and a car dumped a bunch of slippery stuff on the track, recognized it, turned off, the Audi still ended up the tire wall. Anything that makes stuff greasy, secure that, take care of that. That's what I've got. And we're going to be talking about the other hot stuff that comes out of the car.
Let's talk about headers and manifolds. So you have got, when this car is going to run, you're going to have some hot exhaust and it's going to need to get out of the engine.
Oh yeah, it's going to be hot, baby.
It's going to be hot, and it needs to not hit anything else in the engine bay because you're trying to keep that all cool, right? And you want to make sure you know where that exhaust is actually going to go. So fit is going to be your number one concern. Things that you're going to need to check are from the engine, the distance to other stuff, and all the other stuff. And chances are some of the other stuff may not be installed yet because right now you probably only have an engine and trans in your car. So you have to think about all the other things that might be going into your car. And then you're going to need the location and angle of the collector output. So figure out where all this stuff is going to go. So your first choice is tubular headers or cast iron manifolds. Manifolds are heavier, they're cheaper, usually more durable. And they also usually have heat shields, which are excellent to avoid crisping other things in your engine bay. So look at the available options for your motor to see if any of them are going to work first. Check car-part.com. I feel like sometimes we mess up these pages.
URLs.
Yes, and see what fits and what's around and what is already going to work for your car. For example, there are about 20 different LS manifolds, and some of them even flow decently, so don't rule them out. And like for the Mazda, we're using an early Mazda 6 manifold as it's almost tubular 4-into-1 header.
Yeah, Chris and I were talking for a little bit about, hey, Chris, which manifold should I buy? I'm the tell me what to buy guy. And we were looking at them all on the internet, and it's really hard to tell from an internet posting what exactly all the angles are and how tight they are to the block. And so this is where doing a known swap or a swap plus will help you out, because other people have put that car in your car and can say, oh yeah, the CTS-V ones fit, or the Cadillac ones fit, or, go get the Mazda 6 ones like Chrissy just mentioned. Mentally get your hand up.
Yeah, mentally get your hand up.
Heat shields also are an excellent place to rub things. There was an old Lemons penalty that we were subject to
rub things.
of rubbing cheese on your heat.
Don't do that.
So that your car stank for the rest of the weekend. It was so bad when we ran Eagles Canyon that the pit made us take our heat shield off and hang it on the fence 20 feet away from the garage because it was awful. And from then on, every car we had built out of Oklahoma had in paint pen rub cheese here on the heat shield. But that shows how effective those heat shields are. So that is an option. If you've got space and you're worried about heat, what Chrissy just said is valid.
Yeah, a little gap and a little space is actually a great heat shield.
Have you ever seen one of the, if you have one of those little thermocams and you just point it at an engine with a heat shield, it's amazing. You can just see how much difference
it's dissipating.
It's just some sheet metal and some air gap, and it makes the world of difference.
Yeah. And it's the science, and I'm going to jump around a little bit because I actually was going to talk about this. So they're also really light. They really don't weigh much. Those little pieces of tin that go around there. So sometimes if you can get that gap and a little heat shield, definitely do that because it's great. But it doesn't always work because there was no space in the floor of the S10. And the 4.3 liter Chevy puts about a millimeter between that exhaust manifold, the downpipe, and the starter. So like, this is just things you really need to check because you can roast electronic equipment a lot by not watching this heat. So we actually moved to a Camaro starter because it was like half the size. And it moved the starter away from the pipe by that extra like inch and a half. And it made a world of difference to how much heat went in that starter. Go ahead, Mental.
And we discovered this because we had a red flag situation at New Hampshire, and I shut the boat off. And then I went to start the boat when we went to a yellow flag situation, and we could, on the camera, we could watch the voltage drop every time I'm trying to start, but it wouldn't go. And that's how we recognized that we were heat soaking the starter.
Yeah. Chris,
we're also melting shoes.
It's true. It's true.
My shoe melted in it. Yeah.
You mentioned that you cut the tabs off of the manifold for the K24 and put them on the header. Is that the story there? How did that work?
As the motor we got came with a stock manifold, which was kind of a tubular manifold, but it wasn't going to work for its shape and size wise. So we ended up with a header, which we'll talk about tubular headers in a second, because that was kind of our intro to this section. So I cut the mounting tabs for the heat shield off of the stock manifold, and I just welded them to the new header, and then did a little trimming on the heat shield, and boom, I just took that beautiful, nice, well-engineered OE stock heat shield and adapted it to my header. And that Honda exhaust gets hot. Like, it gets so hot, it melted all of the paint off of the big glass pack that I put under the whole center tunnel of the floor. Like, the paint just is gone.
Glass packs, yo. That's the way.
Yeah, that's all that fits.
We've said the word header like 1,000 times. We should probably jump back to that. For those of you who don't know what that means, because there are some people out there who are a little bit earlier in this, a cast manifold is like one giant big piece of cast steel that they kind of stamp with a machine. Iron, sorry. Whether they stamp with a machine, it's stamped and it's big, it's heavy, it's usually rusty. It's always rusty. It's rusty like 5 minutes after they cast it. And it's a big lump, but it's a tube. So everything is a tube.
Well, most manifolds are not tubes, Jeff. They're actually cast, like they pour liquid metal into a casting.
Yeah.
And that is what flows. So it's not necessarily a tube. It is a passageway that's not a tube. Headers are tubular. Like,
I meant there's a hole inside that they flow through. So that's what I meant.
Because there are stamped steel manifolds that are a third difference. That's not a cast iron, and it's not a tubular header. It's a stamped steel one.
God, I've never seen that ever in my life. So anyway, cast is the casting process. Tubular headers are, instead of one giant block of steel that happens to have iron that has to have holes in it that make a tube, it's actually a tube. So it's tubes that are welded onto a plate that's going to bolt to your motor, and the tubes bend down and they come to a collector. So like when we say 4-into-1 tubular header, what we mean is the 4 exhaust ports enter 4 tubes and all attach at the same place. There's things called like tri-Y headers where the 2 go into 1 and the other 2 go into 1, and then the 2 secondaries go into whatever. Just so you know, when we say things like 4-into-1 header or 2 into, it's all tri-Y. Anyway, they're all tubes, just like the internet. Why do you want a header? Because they sound cool, right? Everybody wants headers, yo. Woo woo! Put some headers on my Camaro, yo. No. They're lighter. They are usually take up less space in your engine bay. They are a lot smaller than the giant, thick cast manifolds. So that's why they're so much lighter. You can get a ton of them. And they also design them in different ways. They design them some of them are designed for performance. We have shorty block hugger headers, which meant that they are not long tube headers. Long tube headers means that collector where it enters the 4-into-1 is further away from the engine, and that's a different performance variety. Shorty headers mean the collector is closer to the motor. Block hugger means it is physically closer to the motor. So all of these words you're going to see when you're shopping for headers. Just know that it's almost impossible to figure out which one fits your car if you're putting a 4.8 liter LS into a 300Z from 1990s. So, but anyway,
unless it's been done 50 times before.
Unless it's been done 50 times before, yeah.
Somebody already knows.
Yeah. So yeah, tubular headers are also really cool because if you're really cool like Chris and you can weld, you can actually adjust them. And there are people who make their own headers. Shout out to the GRM people, Andy Nelson. If you ever want to look at what
art, they're amazing.
Yeah, he can make a Chevy Rat motor breathe like nobody's business, and he does it by cutting and welding his own tubular headers. So there is an art to it. Just know, cast manifolds are really freaking heavy. They don't flow as well. They look like big, heavy logs under your thing, under your hood there, and you want to probably get headers. And you're going to have to figure out how to make them fit. But you can bang them and smush them a lot easier than you can that cast manifold. Go ahead, Mental.
And also sexy tubular header work. Tin Man 392 on Instagram, the guy that actually built Black Betty. He's building a 68 fastback onto an old Arca frame. It's gorgeous. But go through his feed. He built a firing order set of manifolds that went 4 to 2 to back to 4 for his Corvette Z06. That was beyond amazing.
Do you have his Instagram up on your phone right now? Stick that in the camera.
Hopefully that's focused.
Go up a little. We want to see the picture, not his picture, not his face. We want to see the picture. It's hard to see.
All right, let me. Yeah, what I need to do is actually just make let's look at the Camaro or the Mustang itself. There's a good shot of the Mustang that he is modifying right now. And it's probably better if I turn my spotlight off there. Nope, that's
don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyway, Tin Man 392.
Tin Man 392. Awesome. So there is another way to keep the heat inside the manifolds or inside those headers, and that is wrapping the headers. Chrissy, I don't know why this position is mine and not yours. Like wrapping headers. Everyone raise your hand who wrapped headers in the last 3 weeks. That's right. Chrissy did.
Not 3 weeks, but I've done it.
Yeah. I did exhaust, but so anyway, Chrissy, do you want to talk about wrapping headers, or do you want me to jump into it? I can do it. It's green. You didn't pre-read. Wrapping headers. Why do you wrap headers? To hold the heat in. Okay, that means you're taking a non-conductive material and you're literally, it's like a material. It looks like cast material.
It's
and
fiberglass.
Wrapping it in fiberglass. It's nasty.
All over your hands.
And you're literally creating a barrier between the manifold and the rest of the engine.
It looks like a fiberglass tie-down strap.
Yeah,
basically.
I was gonna like a cast. I guess more people have probably done fiberglass tie-down straps than casts, but they do trap moisture. So in like your street car, if you're making that 1,000-point show-winning Mustang and you're wrapping your headers, it's gonna eat up the metal because it's gonna trap that moisture and it's gonna create rust. So you eventually will rust out and warp your headers. Race car, who the hell cares? You're probably going to be replacing it in a couple years anyway. So we wrapped them up. Also, if you call your favorite ceramic engineer, he might give you some special juice that you can paint on
ceramist.
Ceramist. You can paint.
He said ceramic engineer is also acceptable.
Oh,
both.
Okay.
But not ceramist.
I thought he said
that's an extra syllable.
Ceramist. I thought it was
ceramist. Ceramist or
Ceramist.
ceramic engineer.
Whatever. So anyway, he's going to
Whatever.
give us a custom blend of some sort of ceramic mojo that is going to like actually make everything just, we're just going to have an extra layer. It's belt and suspenders to try and keep all that heat out of our engine because the engine bay, because you don't want to crispy your wiring and you don't want to fry it up. And in case you've never seen an LS motor, where are the ignition wires?
Right between every single header tube.
Right. Every header tube has ignition wire right passing through it.
Let's hope it works.
Fortunately, they have little metal
Little belts,
heat shields that go on
boots,
them. So.
But I did melt one of them. We had one melt when I was running the Gingerman, the Melvin Wood car, the LS swap BMW. We were running 7 cylinders all day Saturday. We didn't realize it.
They
kept
are
some of the ones we took off just in case we needed.
You're always going to need spares.
Yeah.
All right, Chrissy, what else?
We're moving on to exhaust. So this is our last topic. So hold on to it because if you're bored, we're almost done. Okay. So, your goals here are to get the exhaust to exit outside the car, ideally behind the driver, ideally be out the back, all the way out the back to not annoy your competitors as they pass you at this, with your side exit exhaust blaring in their ear. Then you have, this is a mess. To have a car.
Start over?
No, it's just a run-on sentence, and that's why I'm struggling. To have a car that's loud enough that you could hear it, but quiet enough to pass the sound regulations and not fatigue you for long shifts. Do the exhaust better, make it go out the back, keep it loud, but not too loud. That's what you should have said. Mic drop.
Fine.
And those regulations are no joke. Out here on the West Coast, several tracks have serious noise regulations. And for you guys on the East Coast thinking you don't have to deal with this, you've never been to NCM. They absolutely do. Now, to make these exhausts, you can buy a few of the pre-bent mandrel bends and some straight pieces as well. Just a generic exhaust kit, and it's going to have all those bits in it, like our friend Matt was just doing on the Failbird to get it ready for Laguna Seca. So get as big a muffler as you can that fits most dimensions, and it'll keep the sound down. A performance version is fairly straight enough, and it's potentially chambered. We could do an entire show on just muffler types and Ford, Chevy sort of debate, but bigger equals quieter, and loud does not equal powerful. For piping, you're going to want all of this.
There's my mandrel kit.
Jeff is holding up the mandrel kit. Now, for
$33.
piping,
Can't beat it.
if you're going all out on this effort, you don't want to use small pipes. You want to let that engine breathe, not for noise, but to get the exhaust out. We recommend at least 2.5 inches for single setups, and some duals can get down to 2.25 if they're small and you're doing lower RPMs, and it depends on what you can fit. The bigger the engine and the higher the RPMs you run, the more flow you're going to need. Get the gas out of the way so the new stuff can come in. A 2.4 liter engine at 8,000 RPMs is the same as a 4.8 liter engine at 4,000 RPMs. Design your setup with that in mind. Don't forget your O2 sensors, weld on bungs, and potentially a catalytic converter if you want to comply with the EPA or clean air quality. Cats really don't inhibit the flow much like they did a long time ago, and most engines are actually designed to work with them.
I just realized that the 4.8 liter that we're putting in the Z is twice the size of the Honda motor. Is it twice the horsepower? No, not even close.
As someone who grew up in the 70s,
Realistically, it's about 60 more horsepower.
as someone who grew up in
It's
the
like
70s,
Honda can build efficient things and Chevy can't.
Well, that's also the smallest LS. Like, yes, if we ran it at 7,000 RPM and with a hot cam, like we could get it. No, we really couldn't get it to twice the power. No.
But
Anyway.
that does go to a thing. There's a lot of just old misconceptions, and that louder is flows better and hence is more powerful. And for a lot of engines, they are designed with a certain amount of back pressure in mind to keep from floating your valves. So just don't think that because it's loud, you're going faster.
Yeah, but louder's cooler.
Yeah, until you drive your car without your noise blocking earphones in and say, "Oh God, oh, ow!"
Did I ever tell you? that I love intimidating people with the exhaust in the Honda. Like when you're on their bumper and they're in your way, you can give a little blip of the throttle and they can really hear you. After the race, I do that in my street car and nobody notices.
Yes.
I'm like, why is this guy out of the way? Vroom, vroom, vroom. And I'm like, didn't make any noise.
Then there's the thing where like you're walking back away from pit wall after you just got out of the car and you stopped the new driver in and the other two pit crew and you're doing the, that was a really great shift. I can't believe how awesome it. And your two teammates are going, shut up.
Yeah. Why is he talking so loud? Why is he yelling at me? I'm right here.
Your teammates might be hungover too.
And you're still talking too loud.
Yeah, exactly.
And having a bread fight.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
What else do we need to say?
Well, you actually had to make this whole damn exhaust.
Oh, sure.
I know, right? And let me tell you, this is fiddly bits, one step at a time. You start at the forward end of the car and work your way back. In general, you're going to use a straight piece and then a piece of the bend within it, and then more straight. Repeat.
Thanks. It's
right,
very technical.
Bend, right.
Now I know how to do it.
You got it. The bend can be part of one of those mandrel J's or U's. You can use, kind of the straight leg with part of the bend in it, or you can just cut it like a pie cut out of the bend to attach the two straight pieces. You also can cut a wedge or a pie cut out of a straight piece and bend it shut and then weld it sealed. That works for small cuts. When you get into big cuts, that's a terrible way to make it flow. Like you don't want to do that very often. But for small angles, it's a really efficient way to do it. So there's that. Really, as you go, cut and mark the pieces. Get another piece of tubing to kind of hold up to the end of it so you can see where it's really pointing, not where you think it's pointing while you're lying on your back and with 18 inches between you and the car. And as you go, just cut and mark them and lightly tack weld them together. Really lightly tack them, because if you make a mistake, which you're likely to, you can cut it back apart and weld it in. So that's the way you want to go. So lightly tack them all together. This is going to take some time because you have to make a piece, check it, get back out from under the car, back under the car, measure something, back out from the car, cut another piece, back under the car, check it, out from under the car, repeat.
Now I've seen people try and do this with like pool noodles. Like build it out of pool noodles and then take it to the deck and try and build it out of pipe.
The best I've seen is if you use a long kind of welding rod that'll hold the bend, you can kind of put it in the middle of where something is supposed to go, and that'll get you close. Yeah.
Who the hell has welding rods anymore?
Well, you can go take people. They have welding
I guess.
rods. I mean, fine. Use a coat hanger.
There you go. That's better.
Use a sturdy piece of metal wire. Another thing is you're going to need to have some flexibility in your exhaust, because the engine and chassis do not move completely together. The engine flexes around in a different way than the chassis with most mounts. And if you have solid mounts, then I'm sorry, your life is going to be terrible.
It's bad.
Yeah.
They're not faster. They're not cooler. You're an idiot.
Yeah, they're just terrible.
It's still going to flex between the chassis and the engine.
Yeah, probably. It says your chassis is going to flex. Because if you're doing this, you probably have an F body or a Fox body, and therefore it's going to flex. So
there's a reason they call it the Ford Flex.
Right. Use a flex joint in your exhaust somewhere in the front half of the car so that it can move. It also makes it so much easier to install and remove the exhaust if you have some flexibility in it.
I'm worried that we don't have enough flex because we only have one flex joint. I know you say one is fine, but I
think it'll be enough, because then it's not moving together. Let's see if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, who's the one that's going to have to fix it?
We cut it apart and we had a flex joint.
This guy. Right. Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. I only had one when I built it, so screw you guys.
Another one?
That's fine.
They're straight. It wouldn't even be that hard to put one in.
That's why
Let's start the car.
Okay, stop it. Stop it.
Go on.
Anyway, if you don't let stuff flex that moves, it's going to break. And maybe it'll break. Who knows? You're also going to need flexible hangers. We usually just reuse the stock hanger material and the rubber mounts and weld those on because they're good quality and you already own them. That's good. You also need some kind of.
There's nothing wrong with them. They work really well.
Yeah, just cut the solid rods off the exhaust tubes and weld it onto your new ones in the right spot. Done. It's easy. You're also going to need some way to take this whole thing apart. If you have one tube that goes from your header to your tailpipe, you're going to be sad because you're going to need to take it off, and it probably goes under some suspension parts or something, and it's annoying. So you're going to need some kind of joint. We like V-band clamps. They're the best solution. We don't even have any, but I know they're the best solution.
They're
they
awesome.
Seal tightly. They come apart easily. The flat flanges or the U clamps that bend the pipes and lock them together, they always still leak. I mean, the flat flanges are okay, but they're more difficult to use. So, and lastly, in your design, make sure you keep all of the exhaust as far away from fuel as you possibly can.
That's a good tip.
And consider heat shields anywhere near fuel or sensitive bits, because that simple piece of sheet metal with an air gap goes a long way. Heating fuel leads to all kinds of weird problems and danger. Don't do that.
The show is going really... Go ahead, Metal. You go first.
And not just the obvious bit like explosions. We had to give so many cookies to the tow truck drivers at pit race because we had an exhaust that was vaporizing fuel before it got to the engine and causing a vapor lock. And it took Saturday for us all to figure that out. And this was not a pack of stupid people. We were just that cosmic.
That could be discussed.
We were getting into the TR on purpose, but the point stands is because it was so difficult to diagnose. It took us out of contention for an entire day.
Well, when you don't have fuel flowing, you go, oh, the fuel pump must be bad. So you change the fuel pump. And then when your fuel pump is, it's running, you're like, oh, the fuel's still not flowing. So let's
there's no such thing as
and then let's do this. And,
there's no such thing as an over shielded exhaust.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely right.
Okay. All right. That's it for this week. If we haven't dissuaded you yet, listen next time.
I think the brain is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got questions or you've got examples or you think we're full of crap, let us know.
Hey, if someone out there built a really sexy header, we want to see the picture.
That's true. Yeah.
Because we don't do that shit. Okay. But anyway, what's next?
That's time for Hell Sweet But Terrible.
Thanks.
That's all you, Jeff.
That's a great intro. I yell.
Hey, you're
scream,
so boring.
I make like a to-do.
Hell is sweet, but terrible.
So I already mentioned that's good. I like that.
I like it. Yeah.
I mentioned that I went car shopping. So I feel like I need to do some exploits in car shopping, and you can all tell me whether I am doing things right or doing things totally wrong. Just to refresh people's memory, I need to replace my 2012 Mazda 3, which has 178. It's just about 180,000 miles.
Want Jeff? Not
I want. Don't need. You're absolutely right. I want to replace it. And I had it down to. I was really thinking about the Ford Focus ST. I wanted them with the Recaros, but I read that the Recaros are not comfortable, and my wife said, you drive a race car, what's it going to pinch your butt? You're all used to it. Just stop being a pansy and go drive one, and you'll like it because it's got sporty seats that hold you in. So I found a Ford Focus ST with the Recaros, and this one was not the one I was going to buy, but I could test drive it, and it had the loudest frickin' exhaust, not including the Honda, that I've ever heard out of a 4-cylinder motor. It had a blow-off valve that was louder than the trombone that blows Erling out of his seat on the bus. All right. This thing was worked. The Ford Sync stereo had a half-naked woman on it of undeterminate.
Oh, this is quality.
Age.
Dark skin. No, dark. I was going to say it was hard to tell whether she was a Latina woman, she was boobalicious, but whatever. I don't know. Like
she was definitely feminine shaped.
She was. Oh yes, she was. So anyway, this wasn't the one I was going to buy, but I was really just there to try out the seats. And how were the seats, you asked? They sucked. I hated these seats. And it wasn't that they were too squeezy or that they were too narrow. The butt angle was all wrong. Like, it felt like it was pushing my knees up away, and it was totally unadjustable. I literally got out of the car and said, well, I'm really glad I did this, because now I will not buy a car with these seats, and I will buy the lower trim model with the other seats. And so I started searching on the internet to find one of those to make sure those seats were comfortable. But then it doesn't have the options that I want.
Was this stock?
Stock. They're leather Recaros.
I was more concerned about what's on the radio.
Oh no, the radio. Well, that was like it's like Google. It's like
You can-
Apple CarPlay, so you can make
okay.
a new
You can
background.
put different things on there.
Okay, yep.
And I want the Apple CarPlay / Google, the Android Auto. So if I get a lower trim model, I will have to upgrade the radio. It doesn't matter because this is what happened next. I put out a bunch of feelers to a bunch of places that had Veloster ends, and a dealership contacted me from Baltimore that had a 5,000 mile Veloster end and said, "Would you like to come down for a test drive?" Start up the car. I'm going to Baltimore.
No one said ever, but good on you.
Yeah. So I worked Saturday, but they had Sunday hours, and I went down and I drove a white Veloster N, and I think I still have the pictures up. Let me see if I can find the picture. I don't have the pictures up. It was gorgeous. It's a stock Veloster N. I got the vapas a little.
Good, you got the fizzies. That's good.
Everything that they are writing about this car is true.
And this is important because when you posted the picture on our Instagram, which you can follow at everyone.racers, our good friend, Dr. Florida Mandani said, if you're going to use it as a soup-filled dumpster, you should spend maximum dollars.
Yep.
It was really pretty.
Looks like a white Veloster N.
It is.
Okay.
Looks like a white Veloster N. I want to tell you that the COVID has brought something really interesting. No dealer personnel on the test drive.
We had this. I know. We know. Yes.
So raise your hand if you did triple digits on a dealer plate.
Did we?
No, I have in the past.
Oh.
Yeah.
When I bought my 98 Integra brand new in 98 and I was 19, my friend Paul and I went out in the test drive, just the two of us. The guy just handed us the keys. What?
Now that's
think
crazy.
What an idiot that
and
guy
a new
was.
Right?
Integra GSR.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
But did the guy make the sale, Chris?
Oh, yeah. I bought
Yeah,
that car.
yeah.
I didn't buy that car. I bought a different one.
Yeah, so these people probably made a sale because I probably will buy a Veloster N, but I will not buy that Veloster N because at 5,000 miles, they pretty much wanted 30 grand for it, which is what it's stickered for once it was tax tagged and everything else. But it was like when I got on those backcountry roads and I put it in N mode and the exhaust sounded really sexy, and then it auto blipped the throttle when I downshifted for the roundabout. I said, I have not felt this since I drove the GT3 on Extreme Experience. And it's not that it's the fastest thing and not that it's the best thing, but I just really felt like this car was absolutely communicating the handling and just everything that I wanted. And the trunk is a little smaller, yes, Chrissy, but it's totally serviceable. The back seats are probably about the same size as the 3. There's no leather anywhere. It's a plasticky interior, and I don't care. That thing blipped that throttle on that downshift, and I went, oh.
More than half of the people that commented on the Instagram post were in agreement that the Hyundai, and that includes, Hooniverse Jeff, a former guest on our show, who absolutely said the Hyundai is always the better choice.
Way better than the Ford Focus ST. It's also 10 grand more than the Focus ST.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And you can't find any STs that aren't already worked and roached, and they're just getting thinner and thinner on the ground.
Naked ladies on the.
Well, the Veloster Ns are probably not going to be too far behind. You got to get one.
Well, and this is the
young enough
case
that it
right
hasn't
now.
been done. Yeah.
The market is so hot. I literally went in and talked to the sales manager for a minute, nearly puked on his shoes and punched him, by the way. Dealership people are still the scum of the world. So I'm pretty sure I will buy a Veloster N from Carvana, and I will not talk to a human until the tow truck driver delivers it. But I know we're going late, but this will just be 1 second. So he shows me the sheet. I brought it here. His printed, what do they call that? A Foursquare, like they got the.
Oh, he's telling you your payments.
He's got my payments are there, and he's got all the stuff on it, and he's got this line here, and it's like $1,900 for reconditioning. right? And now I want to tell you that I heard the story of this car. This car was traded in for somebody who wanted a blue one and the flappy paddle transmission. So he literally bought it there, brought it back a year later with 5,900 miles on it, and bought it. So he had his snow tires on. He brought it to the dealership the snow tires, and he said, I need my snow tires back. So take the brand new wheels and tires off the one I'm about to buy, put it on my old one, and take off however much he negotiated to take off. So it had brand new tires on it that still had like the stickers on it. I mean, minus whatever all of us test driving idiots roached off of them. So, but anyway, I said, $1,900 for reconditioning. It has 5,000 miles on it and brand new tires. What did you recondition? And he said, oh, that's a Maryland state law. We need to inspect it. And we need to, he gave me some kind of bullshit. So I immediately said, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest here now. And you can go ahead and run whatever number you want, but I don't want to waste your time because I'm not going to buy this car today. And it's not because of your price. It's because this is the very first one I've ever, I tried to be honest with him. And he goes, if I got rid of that reconditioning, would that get you to buy it today? I'm like, you just told me 5 seconds ago it was a state law. I was so mad.
And that is why the dealership model is dying.
Dead. I'm not buying it from a dealer.
No, my brother worked at a Cadillac dealership in North Carolina, and that is actually his job, is to recondition cars. And there is no way he is putting $1,900 worth of work. And my brother is very good at what he does.
In a 5,000 mile car.
Correct.
Under warranty. Yep.
Under warranty. Anyway,
all right. I'm glad you found something that gives you the fizzies.
But this is not going to happen right away. I'm going to get some ducks in a row. I'm going to finish paying off a different loan that I have.
They're so annoying.
And so we're probably talking, and I'm going to try and hope that the market cools down a little, because I literally talked to that guy for 10 minutes. I went outside and they were already handing the keys to the next person who was test driving it.
I also, one of the other comments we got from our buddy Alex Levinson is you owe it to yourself, and we mentioned this when you brought it up. You need to try the Fiesta ST.
I can't find them either.
True, but the Recaros and the Fiesta ST are actually different than the Fiera.
That's interesting.
In the Focus.
Look, I have plenty of time. I'm going to test drive everything. I'm going to test drive a WRX. I'm going to test drive a GTI. I'm never going to buy a GTI, but
or a WRX.
I might buy a WRX. I like
over a GTI.
Over any of them. Subaru's going to blow its motor. The WRX, or the Volkswagen's going to blow everything else.
Yeah.
So.
To be honest, I'm probably not buying any of them because I really want the Veloster N. But who knows? You know what?
First time in my life I've ever said the Hyundai is the best one of all the cars you're considering, and I don't say that lightly.
That's what kept saying that. He was like,
"I'm also going to drive
the right one."
Mustang.
You're like, "It's not. That's not always the truth."
If I can find someone to let me drive a Type R, I'm going to drive a Type R. Because and here's another thing: the 2020 Veloster N's were $27,000 or $29,000 with the performance pack. The 2021s are all $34,000 and they're all performance pack. So they basically put on $5,000 just because they're like, oh shit, we have the hottest car in America. I guess we should make everybody pay a little more.
So if you're a Midwest dealer and you've got a Hyundai Veloster R-Line or N on your lot and you can't move because it's winter, get a hold of us at everyone.racers@gmail.com, which like someone did when they saw our Citroen video.
Citroen.
Yeah, I still got to email that guy.
Yeah.
Man.
He's hot.
Right.
Oh, check off. Somebody says Citroen wrong.
Yes.
Good.
That's a good one. That one's hasn't been around in a while.
So next week we have a switcheroo because CNC are going to be traveling, celebrating 2 of the 4 best days on this podcast. 5 best days.
I'm
on
the
this
only one
podcast.
who's not that excited about my birthday. I'm like, birthday comes around, I'm like, whatever. When
Their
you're
time.
closer to death,
Yeah, I know their time is coming, Jeff. We know how it is. Point being,
I don't really care.
we're having Dave and Ian from the Apex Adjacent podcast. Now, if you don't listen to their show, you should give it a try. If you do listen to the Apex Adjacent podcast, it's going to be interesting. Like when we were on the Untitled Car Show. So it's kind of a WWE SmackDown meets the Delicious Dish. That's their style.
I don't know which one we are.
we're totally SmackDown.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, they are interesting people. It's going to be a fun show. You should tune in and listen. And I think Chris and Chrissy are going to be listening to it going, those idiots, they can't function without us.
It's true, but they do a great what is it, FMK, which is like
Yes,
F
FM,
marry
yes,
kill of vehicles,
which we're going to be doing on when we have them on, so it'd be great.
Yeah, I have to say that I listened to them. I listened to like 4 or 5 episodes because I had to drive back and forth to Baltimore, and I was like, "This is great." Whenever we do these crossovers, we get new listeners, and all they talked about was Donnie. They're like, "Oh yeah, we had Donnie on the show." Like, freaking Donnie, he's everywhere. Anyway, listen here. Thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed another edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building. Except don't do that motor swap, because everyone can be a racer, but you're not good enough to do a motor swap. Trust us, we're not good enough, and we're really good at this. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, or you want to make fun of me or offer me that 7,000-mile Veloster N you have sitting in your yard, contact us, everyone.racers@gmail.com, or hit us up on the Facebook page, or text Mental. I do look at them every now and then. 484-243-0455. Find our Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up, because you swap the motor and that thing's leaking and it's all oily on the other side.